Devora Wilde, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very well. Just playing the best game of the year. How's it?
Hey, no
How's
biggie.
it? I know. I mean, this is your first mocap, first sort of gig in the gaming world, and you've picked
Yes,
one of the greatest games in years. How'd
I
you do
know. What can I say? Luck. Literally luck. I wish I could say I had something to do with it, but right place, right time. Whenever people used to say that about like, anything to do with acting, I'd be like, oh God, am I allowed to swear, by the way, on this?
Oh, of course you are.
Great.
Please. It's
I used to
encouraged.
say, what a load of crap. What a load of bollocks. It's all to do with being prepared and it's all to do with being like on top of your game. It is, but also it's being in the right place at the right time.
So how's it been? I mean, it's just crazy, the reception. I mean, it was at one point it was the best reviewed game on Metacritic and all this acclaim, millions of people
Yeah.
playing. How's it been for you taking this all in?
Pretty mad. Just I'm loving engaging with everyone right now on social media, and that's making me laugh a lot, like a lot. Also because I think that when we were recording it and because it took so long, at least I never really thought about, hey, how's it going to be received? Like, are people going to like Lae'zel? People not going to like her? It was just you just sort of get on with it, don't you? And it's like a job. And then you know, once it's out, you kind of realize, wow, so many people have been looking forward to this game. So many people are loving the game, and it's very entertaining. I'm enjoying it.
I'm loving you on TikTok at the moment. I think you're enjoying yourself over there.
I really am. I
It's a bit of
really
fun.
am.
Yeah.
It is a bit of fun. Yeah, it kind of started off as like it's just like, I was like, oh, why not? Why not do TikTok like as something creative? And I did like loads of pregnancy stuff on there. And I was like, why not talk about acting stuff on Baldur's Gate? And I thought the community was more on Twitter,
Yeah.
but it turns out there's a lot of people on TikTok as well. So I was
Oh
just like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, I just do
Is
random
there any
stuff about.
crossover between the pregnant fans on TikTok and the Baldur's Gate? Because you started off with the pregnant videos, a few went
I
viral, and now
did.
you're on Baldur's Gate. Any crossover?
Yeah. Okay, there was one person that commented underneath my video saying, "I followed you for the pregnancy content, and then I downloaded Baldur's Gate 3, and then I realized you're in that as well." And I was like, mind
Yeah,
blown.
yeah.
So apparently there is a crossover. And people got very confused when I posted that picture of me pregnant in the mocap suit. They were like, spoilers for the game. And I was like, guys, I need to explain what mocap is and that it was me being pregnant. But a few of my friends were very confused as well. They were like, is that a spoiler for the game? Are you wearing like a fake belly? Like, what's happening? So I had to sort of explain that it was not very self-explanatory, apparently.
I
But
think
it
you're the
was me that was
first.
pregnant.
I think you're the first guest I've ever had that had a baby while recording a game and went into the mocap with a belly and everything. How was all that? That must have been kind of crazy.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I had a fairly easy pregnancy. So up until about the maybe eighth month, I was fine. And then, towards the end, when you're sort of a bit bigger, it's like, whew, it was kind of tough being on my feet for 4 hours at a time. So I had a little chair. I had my special Lae'zel chair in there. And literally, pretty much after every few lines, I'd just be like, just give me a second. Just give me 1 second. Waddle over to my chair, have a little sit down, take a few little breaths. And yeah, the team at Pit Stop were very, very kind to me, as they always are, but they were extra kind to me while I was pregnant. I was enjoying my pregnancy privileges, as I call them. I was calling in cups of tea and coffee and all sorts of favors. And whenever we'd have breaks,
Oh,
I would just rummage around looking for chocolate.
you
So I
have
can't
to.
say it was too bad. Yeah, it wasn't too bad at all.
Was your last day recording for Lae'zel, you were still pregnant?
Yeah, my water's yeah. Yeah, I was meant to be recording up until my due date because they were like, "Are you okay with that? Like, whatever you want, however you feel." But I felt great, and I was like, "No problem." Everyone's telling me that the baby's going to be born after the due date because that's what first babies do, apparently. So I was very chilled. I was like, "Baby's gonna be born in 2 weeks after the due date." We finished recording after that sort of session, and I went home and I was like, oh, I think my waters have broken. And I was like, you know what? I don't feel any contractions. I was like, I'm pretty sure I can go in tomorrow, right? And my husband just looked at me and went, no, you can't. You're not going to work tomorrow. Like you're not. So that's what happened. And then I think people were notified via like a chat or Slack or whatever they had, and everyone was messaging me like, we hear you're not in today because you've got into labor. Are you okay? Like what's happening? So it was very funny. It was very funny.
Did you end up missing it when you were, out for a few weeks there? Did you want to get back in?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was. And I came back after like 3 weeks and everyone's like, what are you doing back? And I was like, guys, I couldn't stay away. I wanted to, first of all, because we had a bit more to record and obviously we're on a deadline. And I was very conscious of that, even though they were like, don't worry about it, take your time. But, I was like, I wanted to go back. And also because up until that point, I'd been in every single day. And so not being in was just strange for me, even though I had like the baby to take care of. And that was always taking up a lot of my time and energy. I was just, after 3 weeks, I was just a bit like, guys, I'm ready to come back. Have me back. Yeah.
Did you have
and
any
I went in, they were like,
cravings?
you're mad.
Any cravings?
No, not really. I had a very I had a pretty
Oh,
boring pregnancy in terms of like I didn't have any morning sickness, didn't have any weird cravings. It was all pretty standard, and I'm grateful for that. Like I don't particularly want to feel sick or anything, so I'm happy.
so you were born in Bulgaria, I
I
believe,
was.
and you're currently
Yes.
there now on holiday.
I'm currently here now, yes.
And I'm
Yes, I
guessing you
am.
frequent there often for family, for holiday, for
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even really call it a holiday because I just feel like it's where I go back to see my family. And of course it's lovely. It is sort of a holiday, but I am kind of working, whenever I can from my laptop or whatever. Um, but yeah, I go back. I mean, during the pandemic, I spent a lot of time here because,
oh, okay,
everything was shut down. Yeah, and we just thought, hey, we don't often get the chance to spend a concentrated amount of time here with our family. So we spent like about 5 or 6 months here in 2020 and in 2021. And but yeah, it's such a short flight away from London that it's, we go whenever we can, really.
what's it like over there?
At the moment, it's very, very hot. It's still the kind of place that has seasons. So you have like skiing and lovely winter, stuff in the winter, like snow, and then very hot summers and very good food, like proper food, proper like fruit and vegetable, like from people's gardens, which I love. Like I go
Wow.
to my grandma's garden, yeah, and I pick figs and do all that. So yeah, it's home pretty much, even though I've lived in the UK for such a long time that I don't really know. I feel like an in-between person, I don't really, it's hard for me to consider one or the other place home because I just feel like I'm sort of
Yeah.
caught between both. Yeah.
Would you live in Bulgaria if you could bring your work with you?
Oh God, I don't know. I,
Tough one. Yeah.
tough one. Maybe if I could split my time, maybe for a few months. I think it'd be cool
Yeah.
to spend the summers here, like long
Mm.
summers, say May through to October or something, because that is literally when the summer is here. But yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because the work, especially now with voiceovers and acting, everything's pretty much gone back to in the room. So it's hard. It's hard being away from like the hub of it.
Hey, is it true you wanted to be a fashion journalist? Have I got that right?
Well, I was a fashion
Oh,
journalist
you
for a
were.
while.
Sorry.
I was,
Excuse
I
me.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was. I did a master's in fashion journalism. And then I went and did a few internships and I realized what a clusterfuck of a world that was. Yeah, even more so than acting, I'd say. But I would say it's
Why?
like,
Why is it a clusterfuck? What?
it was so weird. Like I went and did these internships where I was supposed to be learning about journalism, and I swear to God, I spent 2 weeks in a cupboard folding clothes from shoots. That was the
Oh, yeah.
internship.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, I get it. Like interns, okay, like get them to do the dirty work, fine. but I didn't learn a single thing about journalism. And I at the end of these internships, I thought, you know what, I don't love it enough to do that.
Mm.
I think with acting, I'm willing to do, you know, a lot more because I love it, and I'm willing to go through all of that and pay my dues and, you know, go through it. But with fashion journalism, I was like, no, I'd rather not, to be honest. And I'm sure a lot of people would.
Yeah. Was the original plan before that to do singing, dancing, theater, that sort of thing? Or did that come after the fashion journalism?
No, it was always my original plan, you know,
Ah,
because I'm a child of 1988, born in, you know, born in before communism fell in Bulgaria, because it fell in 1989. And then when I used to go back for the summers to visit my grandparents in Bulgaria, we'd have cassettes. So anyone, you know, old enough to remember cassettes, that's what we used to have. And there is
never heard
very
of him.
never heard of them, right? Yeah. Mm. But
No,
there's very croaky performances of me singing my little heart out, uh, doing Bulgarian sort of songs and nursery rhymes and all sorts of things. And, you know, would we say I had a great singing voice back when I was 5 or 6? Probably not. But I really tried. I really did. And and I always said, when anyone would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always said, a singer or an actor. That's what I always
oh,
said.
that's good.
And look at me now.
Look at you now. And
Look
you're
at me
going
now.
to do a rendition of a Bulgarian song for us live right now, correct? You've prepared something for us?
Oh, stop. I
I'm
wish I would, but I won't.
only
I
kidding.
won't. I won't
I'm
make
not
your
going to
ears
do that to
bleed.
you. No, I'm not
No,
going
no,
to do.
please don't.
So then, how did you get into this world? I mean, this was your first game, so was it just a normal audition for you, and everything just came through like a
Yeah.
norm? Yeah.
I think it's because I didn't know very much about this whole world of voice acting and mocap, or I didn't really know anything about it. For me, it was a way to kind of make a bit of money on the side of acting, even though now I've done voice acting for 4 years and I realized that voice acting is acting. But at the time, it was kind of like, hey, you've got a nice voice. You should do voiceovers. They're really good money. And you should just, like, you know, do it on the side of acting. And I was like, yeah, why not? So I applied for a few agencies, and then I got this audition through, and it was for motion capture, so I had to do like a filmed audition, and I was very used to doing those already because obviously self tapes. So I was like, okay, let's give it a crack, and I sort of spent an afternoon because there was a lot of characters to audition for, and now I know why for this game.
Few characters,
And
yeah, in this game, yeah.
yeah, and it was like an elf, and then a, you know, a wizard, and this and that and all sorts of things. So yeah, I spent an afternoon kind of set up my phone. I think I did it on the phone, and then sent it off, and then realized I got it. And it was very underwhelming in many ways, because
Yeah.
I just had no idea of the scope of it. I didn't know, and I
Was
didn't
this
know until about a year
2019?
later. Yes.
2019? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't know
Yeah.
it was Baldur's Gate until what, a year later?
At least a year later, when I even bothered to ask, because I was like, cool, a video game. And then I was like, cool, motion capture, never done that before. Got so caught up in the whole thing that I didn't, and because everything's code named, and part of me was like, oh, maybe they won't tell me, maybe I shouldn't ask. And then part of me was like, oh, I don't care, I have the character, I have the story. I didn't really care too much what the title was, because I don't play video games, so it wouldn't have made any difference to me whatsoever. I needed to know the context and the character and all of that, and I was given that. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should ask what the game was. And they told me, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. No idea. I literally blank face.
I'm still perplexed. People keep saying you look like Lae'zel. Lae'zel. I just think it's ridiculous.
No.
I don't quite understand it. I mean,
Well,
maybe I'm going to
no, I
get ripped
mean,
in the comments. I mean, they're all going to say now that, what are you talking about? Are you blind? I don't see it. What do you
I
think?
don't see it.
No.
I don't see it either. A few people have said the eyes, so maybe the eyes. I don't know. Do you see it? I don't.
I
I mean,
don't see it.
I don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe I need to. but do you know what a lot of people have been saying? It's not so much the looks, it's the gestures and the things that she does, and obviously they're my gestures, so that's the
Exactly.
subconscious thing that's making people go, oh, she looks like her, rather than,
Definitely.
obviously I'm not a green Githyanki, or am I? But no, I'm not. But but you know, I think that whoever said that in one of the comments is right. Maybe it's to do with the gestures, and they did use our faces for the reference, for the emotional kind of references. They didn't do facial capture, but they did capture the emotions, so maybe that's part of it too.
I noticed like in some of the scenes there was like some jitters. Was that all you as well? You know what I mean? Some of the scenes there was kind of a bit of and it just felt different to
Probably.
the other races, sort of. I was wondering if that
Yeah,
was intentional.
I mean, yeah, we definitely had like more of jerky sort
Jerky,
of
yeah,
movements when
that's the
she's
word.
talking.
Mm.
Yeah, that was that, and it was a lot more jerky when we started, and then we toned it down, we pulled it back because it wasn't really working, and also, to be honest, 4 years of doing this every time I spoke was just, it was a bit much. So yes, but jerky, I would say jerky and sort of quite warrior like. I think she sort of holds herself quite stiff and quite sort of
Yeah.
proud, and yeah, I mean, we worked sort of together with the whole team to create that.
Do you remember seeing her for the first time? You remember seeing the art, what she looked like?
I don't remember the first time, but I do remember, I think either somebody showed me in a recording session. I was like, oh, that's Lae'zel. Okay. And then I think when early access came out, I would look up YouTube clips. And because
Mm.
that was cool for me to see her interacting with the other characters as well. That was so cool, because obviously in while we're recording, we don't get to see that. And I was like, wow, oh, this is so cool. So like, and seeing it in the game and seeing it with the atmosphere and the other characters and the music. And I was like, okay, that's, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
And there's so many cool, art pieces out there on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm sure you've been
Great
tagged in
fan art.
heaps. Yeah, fan art.
Yeah. Really brilliant fan art. Yeah. There's a lot of people that like her, which I'm glad about, because there's also a lot of people that don't like her, but that's fine. That's okay. I just love seeing the comments. It's
You
hysterical.
don't get offended when people say I killed her straight away or I hate her.
No,
Yeah.
I don't, because right, two things. First of all, I think that it's much better to be a polarizing character than a boring character. So for her to be divisive in that way, I think is fucking brilliant. I love it. I love it, because it means that she's really made an impact on people, be it good or bad. And second of all, I mean, it is what it is. You can't, people can't like everyone. So whether you liked her or not, and also, I mean, I'm enjoying the fact that because people have seen the TikToks and the Twitter and everything, a few people have gone, you know what? Now you're making me want to give her a second chance. So now I've seen you, and I've seen the way you're talking about the character and how passionate you are. I'm actually going to go back and do a playthrough as her and
You're
actually give
winning
her a
him over.
chance.
Yeah.
I'm winning them over, so I don't mind. I don't mind. Do whatever you want with Lae'zel, but do give her a chance, because she is fun, and I think she is a character that shows a lot of development once you get past her personality and her directness and her brashness. She will show you very interesting very interesting things. Let's say she'll show you a different side to herself, I
Well,
think, which will be very rewarding.
there's a rough exterior and it sort of gets shedded down as you play. And I'm wondering,
Exactly.
was that always the arc? Did you know about
Have
that?
you played as Lae'zel? Have you played with her in your party,
Of
or with her
course.
as,
Of course. Romancing,
yay?
man. Well, of course. But she loves my touch at the moment. That's for sure. Something like that. It's
Also
ridiculous to
tender.
say. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to mug myself by some of the lines are so good, but
So
yeah,
good.
no.
So good. I think that her romance is incredibly well written, and it's just, yeah, because I've seen a few people be like, oh, she just tries to romance me immediately, like that's like so off-putting, and I'm like, just give her a chance. Give her a chance. Calm down and just give her a chance and wait, because it turns into something better. But obviously I don't want to give it away too much for people, but I'm glad that you have experienced some Lae'zel romance.
slight spoilers, guys, just so everyone,
Oh.
just so, if you need to leave for this short thing, there's a scene where she confesses her love at the camp, and I'm wondering if you remember that scene. I love the line, "I don't want to hurt you. I want to protect you for you to protect me." That was a great piece of writing.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before and I will say it again. The writing is incredible. Kevin Van Ord is the lead writer for Lae'zel, and he is a stunning human being because, I mean, wow. I think there were several times during the sessions, especially in some of those scenes. So that one at the camp, and then there is another one later on, let's say, how shall I put this? Sitting on a high building.
I kind of want to get into that scene as well, but
yeah, I'm not going to say too much about it, but
yeah, the sunset.
If you get,
yeah.
If you get to that one, where I was incredibly moved, because it was not a side of her you see very often, and I was just like, wow. I mean, the writing for this game is out of this world. It's better, miles better than most film and TV things that I've done or auditioned for, honestly. And it's just, yeah, like, yeah, they need to make a live action Baldur's Gate 3 is what I'm basically saying, and cast us all.
Yeah. So that was very wholesome, seeing that sunrise scene. I'm wondering, you know, do you approach those scenes differently, or do you just try and keep it consistent from what you've done the whole time?
I think you're always trying to approach it from the point of view of the character, but for those scenes specifically, it was we sort of really had to be like, okay, wow, this is a different side to Lae'zel, so we're going to show maybe a bit more vulnerability here. We're going to soften the tone maybe, and it was just a kind of a work in progress with with the team, because obviously in each session I have the the director and the performance director and the audio engineer and the mocap engineers, so we would sort of work together to create that, but I wouldn't say I approached it any differently. It was just, for me, it was really fun to explore a completely different side to her, because obviously most of her stuff is very direct, brash, get out of my way or the highway, do what I say, I will end you, I will kill you. That's that's the gist. If you do anything to upset me, so for her to have moments like that, for me, was incredibly rewarding, and I think for the player as well, it will be, again, if you get to that stage and just give her a bit of a chance.
So you've watched those scenes, those two particular scenes that I've just met?
Yes, I have, because some people have uploaded them on YouTube, and some people have tagged me as well on Twitter, so yeah, I have.
So you really are starting to, they turned out very, and the soundtrack's beautiful.
Yeah,
really great
the soundtrack. I was just about to say, yeah,
it adds another element to it, don't you think?
God, yeah, it's beautiful. It's stunning stunning soundtrack, and it really adds to the whole atmosphere, because again, I recorded those lines in isolation and we felt the atmosphere in the room, but God, seeing it in the game and seeing the colors and the emotions on the face, I was just like, look at my little Lele, look at her go. Oh, she's just, I love her, I really do.
Yeah, I can tell. Did you ever get emotional on set at all? Because as you said, the character doesn't really open up too much, so there's not a lot of room to be emotional besides a couple of these scenes.
I don't. Probably in those scenes is the most emotional I got, because you're right, there isn't much scope, and I think I'm the kind of person, especially like even when the game ended, and I think there were a lot of people who sort of cried and were upset, upset, happy, sort of, it's a mixture, isn't it?
Bittersweet. Yeah,
I think for me, probably because I was off having a baby as well and caught up in all of that as well, but I was just like, I'm not the kind of person that would so easily maybe get emotional, kind of like Lae'zel, but the way that I interpret things, I sort of mull them over, and then maybe I'll get emotional later, like by myself, rather than, that's the kind of person that I am. Very similar to her, but yeah, I sort of interpret things in my own little way, and I get emotional, but it's very deep down inside. It's very Eastern European heart.
Do you think that's why they casted you? They saw a lot of her in you?
I like to think so. I mean, yeah, I mean, what does that say about me? They saw me and thought, cold-hearted bitch, perfect. Yeah, get her in there. She won't shed a single tear in the whole game. Yes, that is why they cast me. But it's funny because a lot of people do say like, oh, you never, even my friends, they're like, Dev, you never open up, like you do, but once you have to really get to know you to like get to your, I don't know, your vulnerability. And and I think I am a bit like that. I think people see this kind of exterior first, and maybe it's a hard exterior to break down, because I'm not the kind of person that necessarily wears their heart on their sleeve, and Lae'zel isn't either. So yeah, they saw that and they were like, perfect.
I'm curious, what have you learned about the character after the game came out, like from the audience? Have they given you anything? Like, have you learnt anything after the fact?
I mean, just how many people are willing to go with her sort of abrasiveness, even though she's very fucking rude and very dismissive and very like, I think if it was me playing and I met that character, I'd be a bit like, oh, are you being like that? Fuck off then. But a lot of people are willing to really give her a chance and stick with her. And a lot of people see through her and see that this is just a character that essentially just really wants to prove herself, and it's just underneath this sort of tough warrior facade is this sort of very frightened little Githyanki that just wants to prove herself, and the audience reaction to that is very wholesome. And I've just seeing people's reactions to that is really incredible.
Whose idea was it to say Teethlings?
The writers. I can't take any credit for that brilliant correction of the Teethlings lines, and also the Fey run. And they're like, don't you mean Faerun? And she's like, ugh. The eye roll.
Eye roll.
So
love
good.
the eye roll.
So good, so good. And again, I don't particularly remember that session. Whether I rolled my eyes in the session or not, I don't know. But I can't take credit for that perfect mispronunciation. That was written in.
You've said a lot that you don't remember much about the because it was so long over the 4 years, and I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. So don't worry. Okay.
I love that. You've said a lot about this game that you don't really remember recording any of it.
No, but honestly, because it's so long, 4 years, and no one can remember every day. But what's the day that sticks out the most to you?
I mean,
you don't remember?
I don't bloody remember. Well, I'm gonna have to probably go with that day that my waters broke, because honestly, we were having a grand old time.
Sorry, yeah.
I have to go with that day. There was also a day where okay, so I'm going to have to go into a little bit of backstory here.
Please, I love backstory. Yeah.
Okay. Basically, there was a time, I think it was coming up to early access, and we had a bit of a deadline, and we had to record a lot of lines. And I love a little bit of a challenge. And I was like, don't worry, guys, I'll do it. And I got through a fuck ton of lines. And since that day, I personally have myself the fastest actor of all the actors that took part in this game. Not only have I named myself the fastest actor, but I also wrote it. There's a little whiteboard that they have at Pit Stop Productions. They write all their stuff. I wrote it down with the date, Devora Wilde, fastest actor at Pit Stop. And I didn't realize that it was in indelible ink that was not supposed to be written with on the board. And it took them quite a while to clean it off. People say I did it on purpose. Did I do it on purpose? We'll never know. Anyway, point of the story is they also told me with statistics that I was the fastest actor. Anyway,
wow.
We got to laughing and joking, and I was like, guys, and whenever I'd go into one of the studios, I'd be like, that's the Lae'zel studio, because I was also, I think, one of the first actors to go in and start recording for this game. I think it was myself and Jennifer English. I think we were one of the first.
Before Neil as well.
See, I'm not sure, but we
Yeah.
were there all, I think it was August 2019. We were kind of
Wow.
the first ones to get cast and get going. And I was laughing and joking and, being my usual happy-go-lucky self. And I was like, you know what? I think this studio needs to be named after me, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's like, ha ha, ha, you're so funny. And then I came in and I had ordered myself a plaque that said the Lae'zel Studio, fastest actor at Pit Stop, and that plaque is at Pit Stop Studios, and we're waiting to have
Oh, that's brilliant.
a ribbon cutting ceremony for that. We still haven't done it yet, but we will. So
That's
just fun
fantastic.
and games, basically. It's fun and games.
That's fantastic. Put it right as you walk in, I reckon. So
I
everyone
mean,
knows.
but yeah, it needs to be. It needs to be a significant. I mean, it is a significant plaque, but maybe I'll rename the whole area the Lae'zel area. I'm
So
basically Lae'zel.
have you got any plans to play this game? Because I know you're not a gamer. I mean, the last game you played was what, The Sims 20 years ago. But what are you gonna pick up the PS5, or are you gonna get that PC running and give it a crack,
Right.
or is it too much?
If somebody gifts me a PS5 or a good enough PC, yes, I will play the game. I do really want to play the game. I do. I don't have much time these days with a 3-month-old baby, but I would actually love to play this game in all seriousness. But I don't have a good enough. I have a MacBook that I use to do work stuff, which I've heard is not good for playing the game. That's not the kind of thing you use. I love that slow, like, oh, bless. And I do not own a PS5. So basically what I'm saying is gift me a PS5, somebody, and I'll play the game and I'll record it, and we'll all have a bit of fun with me going, how do you do this? What is this dice roll for persuasion? What is this? I have no idea how to play this game. No idea.
So
Yeah.
Twitch streaming or anything like that's not on the cards anytime soon.
Twitch. It to me is just a Twitch that I do for Lae'zel. That's I've heard people talk about twitching and this and that. Yeah, no. Look, it can be on the card, but I need to set myself up first, is what I'm saying. But I would love to. I think I need to.
What you should do, come on over to this channel. We'll set it up and you can react to the scenes. That'd be good.
Yes.
Yeah, something
Let's
like
do that while you play.
Yeah, easy.
I'd love to do that. A reacting character.
Oh,
despicable.
Have you got any more? Have you seen the romance speed runs on YouTube?
Oh my god, people keep telling me about this. I read an article about it, but I haven't actually seen it, and I feel like it's something that I need to watch and possibly react to.
Someone's got it down to 2 minutes. 2 minutes it takes to have sex with Lae'zel. 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Lae'zel, I'm kind of disappointed almost.
I know, it's very, yeah. I don't know how they can do it so quick.
Yeah. Well, they obviously know Lae'zel very well. That's how. I'm going to take a look, though. I'm going to take a look. I've heard that she's the one that people are trying to do as a speed run, because I guess it's quite hard to romance her. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think because you meet her first, I think it's the easier one to do. But
right.
Yeah, I can't say I've sped run doing that. Anyway, fan questions. I've got a few questions here for you.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah,
Dev,
no, go on.
I've got a few fan questions here that we should get through.
Hit me.
How did you prepare your vocal cords for each recording session? I imagine talking like that will make your voice hoarse.
Oh God, you know what? I'm going to sound like the world's worst voice actor when I tell you that I didn't. And somebody else asked me, like, somebody else was like, oh, do you warm up and do all that? And it's, again, world's worst voice actor. I don't warm up, and I didn't prepare my vocal cords to do it.
There's nothing wrong with that?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, it makes me sound very blasé about the whole thing, but I think it's because honestly, I think it's because we didn't start with that voice. That voice sort of got lower and lower and lower, and then it settled into the place that you have now for Lae'zel. And I guess I sort of made sure that it was a voice I could easily reach.
Yeah.
and so no, it didn't make my voice too strained or too hoarse. I think my natural voice is quite low anyway, so I could sort of reach that spot. So I suppose the short answer to that question is I did not prepare my voice and I did not warm up.
When did you when in the process did you find the voice? Because you said it gradually got lower. How far in did it get lower? When did you actually say
I
this
think
is it?
I think probably after we'd maybe at some point during early access or a little bit afterwards, and we were like, okay, that's the voice now. And sometimes if I'd slip into this voice, my dev voice, and the director would be like, Dev, you need to use your Lae'zel voice, and I'd be like, yeah, sorry. you know I'd be like, okay, sorry. So yeah, and then but actually, I listened to some of the early access stuff, and it's not so different. It's definitely not like, hello, I'm
Yeah.
Lae'zel. It's not like this. It's still pretty, it's in
Yeah.
the same ballpark.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, we just settled on a more
Subtle. Yeah.
breathy, I wouldn't even call it deep, I'd call it maybe more breathy voice. That's what
Mm.
I'd call it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was from Daniel Crazy Wolf. This is from A. Firkin. What was the thing you struggled with the most during the whole process?
Ah, struggle. God, it's hard to describe any of this process as a struggle because it's been so much fun. And I can't even think of a specific day or moment where I was like, oh my God. Uh, well, I'll tell you what I did struggle with actually. Now I've come to think of
Oh,
it.
here we go.
Those
Yeah.
bloody spells, those bloody
Ah,
effing spells. Oh my God. And some of the insults that we had to do, which I think are kind of generic for all the characters, and they were not very Lae'zel-y. And I
yeah.
remember like being to the director, I was like, oh, this is not Lae'zel at all. And they'd be like, yeah, but they all have to record this. So just kind of like, oh, this is
Yeah,
just not what Lae'zel would
stormed
say.
offset. Yeah.
Storm off set and
Yeah.
just be dramatic like actor. So yeah, I struggled with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I can't describe any of this process as a struggle.
No.
It was just too much fun. Too much fun to be had.
Patrick, how difficult was it to nail the Githyanki language? You pull it off flawlessly, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much because it was hard to get my mouth around those words. They used a lot of somebody corrected me and told me they were glottal stops. They are indeed, where they're with a little apostrophe where it's like key or something where you stop the sound. So that was a little bit tricky, or the try, or it's a lot of that kind of stuff. So that was tricky to make it, especially if it's in a sentence, to make it sound smooth. That was tricky. But I had a lot of help, obviously from the directors. I had the pronunciations written out phonetically. So sometimes if I had to read like a long sentence, I'd be like, guys, and get rid of that gith talk and just paste the phonetics for me, because I mean otherwise a lot of the words, actually the way they're written and the way they're said is slightly different. So I would just use the phonetics. But it was tricky, but it got easier as the game went on. And I think we started off with maybe one or two words thrown in here and there, like your classic, your ch or your spa or your kanyank or whatever. And then we'd build to bigger sentences. I think that was just because she ended up using more complex sentences as the game went on. I'm not quite sure what the reason for that is. Maybe as you get to know her better, then she assumes you sort of know a bit more of the language. I'm not quite sure what the reason for that is, but yeah.
I've just triggered a memory. The scene where you laugh hysterically. Do you remember doing that scene? That was
Yes, I
brilliant.
do.
Oh,
I do, and it was hard to give Lae'zel like a laugh
yeah.
because
I was gonna
it's hard to be
say.
like it's hard. Yeah, that was hard to do. I think that was definitely a session where they'd be like, okay, that sounded more like you laughing hysterically. Now let's try Lae'zel. But yeah, somebody had tagged me in a clip of her and Shadowheart laughing hysterically on Twitter, which was very funny, very very funny.
Round rat. Why so Baezel?
Round rat. Well, because I am Baezel, as you can see from my Twitter handle, Bay.
This
I love this
is
Baezel, by the way. This is
ah,
absolutely hysterical to me.
good, isn't
That's
it?
the name that people have coined for her. Hysterical.
Brilliant. Recent ad, this is a good one. If Baldur's Gate 3 was made into a live action movie or TV series, if you weren't casted, who would you choose to play Lae'zel?
If I wasn't casting it,
Which
I
that
would
would be
literally go
a crime.
feral.
Yeah, it'd be a crime.
I would
But
be a crime.
in an alternate universe, if you weren't available, who's
I'm
taking up the
always
reins?
available. Um, Gosh. Oh, that's so tricky. Well, okay, look, I'm gonna have to go with my all-time favorite actress because I love her. I don't know, I'm now trying to picture her as Lae'zel, and I think that it would work. Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie.
Just because
Wow.
I love her. I'm in love with her. I love her.
Are you? Yeah. What's her
I don't know
favorite
how many
role of
times I
yours?
can say it. Of hers.
Yeah.
Oh, probably that one. Was it called The Changeling, I think, where she has
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
her child gets like kidnapped or something. And also classic Girl Interrupted,
Oh, yeah.
classic.
Bit of a classic. Yeah.
Um Classic. She won an Oscar for that, I believe. But yeah, I'd have to go with her just because I love her. And she is probably the one person I would concede that role to. I'd be like, look, Ange, me and you, we're
Yeah.
both well, no, I wouldn't say anything to her. I would just literally I would die if I met her. I would. Yeah. I'm just yeah.
Yeah. The metronome kid. If you had to pick one characteristic that you share with our favorite Githyanki, what would it be?
Oh, I could pick a lot. Um uh okay, what's the word? Direct, sort of no bullshit. And I don't mean to be like that, but people laugh when I sort of I can reply in quite like one word answers and people find that hysterical where I'm just like, oh, do you like so and so? And I'm just like, no. And people are like, oh, that's so funny. And I'm like, why is that funny? That's just me being like, I think it's an Eastern European thing as well, just being
So
like, no.
because she never lies in the game, I feel like she never lies. Do you
No,
agree?
she
Yeah.
doesn't. And I think that's
Yeah.
what people like about her. Yeah. I mean, look, am I that honest in real life? As in, I wouldn't be so direct maybe with people in real life as she is, because I think that I wouldn't have any friends, and I do want friends in my life. But I
Don't worry,
think that
I'm your
sometimes
friend.
I can. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
I've got your back.
Um, one person. Yeah. But I think that sometimes I can, the way that I answer things, people find it hysterical, and I don't mean to be
Yeah.
hysterical. That's the way I come across. So yeah, direct, sort of no shits given, driven, determined. Like once I set my mind to something, it's very difficult to sort of set me on a different path. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are probably the characteristics. Yeah.
The soul killer. When everyone is taking a long rest at the camp, who makes the best food?
Oh, well, I mean, it's probably not food that I would eat, but probably I can see Shadowheart making like a good curry.
Yeah. Yeah. I could
I
see
could see
that.
that. I wouldn't eat it. I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole, but I could see it. I could see that playing out.
How would you describe Lae'zel and Shadowheart's relationship?
Complicated
Yes,
and
I
and
agree.
strained.
Yeah, definitely.
Strained.
Magic Will. Lae'zel has taught me noses are optional.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are, Magic Will. I mean, they're probably, are they optional if you need to breathe? I don't know, but yes, in her sense, there's a lot of chat about her nose. I'm not happy with that. I think her nose is perfect the way it is, and I think that you should all just lay off her nose. It's the nose she has. She is a Githyanki,
Yeah.
and she is perfect.
Spoon lol, any ideas or scenes for the character that got cut or changed over time that you can remember?
Um, I don't think any scenes, as far as I know, got cut. Although obviously I don't do the sort of the rest of the game. I don't do. I record my lines and I go home and I'm happy as Larry. And then I don't know what really happens afterwards. But a lot of the scenes were changed. So what would happen is we'd record a scene or some lines, and then we'd come back in our next session or a few sessions afterwards, and I'd be like, oh, I've done this scene before, and maybe a line would be changed or a word would be changed, or there'd be more options in that scene, so we'd have to record other branches. So that's kind of the way that things would change. Yeah, I don't think anything massively changed. A lot of things got added, I think, as well as the game went on. A lot of stuff got added, actually. I mean, this was supposed to be a 2-year project that turned into a 4-year project. So yeah, a lot of stuff got added.
How do you manage because they've got to tell you, obviously, okay, this is the scene. They got to give you the context.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? Because you're not shooting chronologically and over all this time. How do you keep the character sort of on the right path?
Well, at the beginning, I had to be given a lot of context, probably like, a half an hour pep talk. I'm joking, obviously, but you know what I'm saying? Like a big old chat around the scene, because obviously I didn't really know about the world of Dungeons and Dragons either. So I think there were a lot of people who were familiar with it. I was just like a blank slate, like a baby. I was just like, what? And that happens? Okay. And then that's okay. And they're connected to this okay, that's a lot for me to handle. Okay. And then as the game went on, they'd be like, do you remember this person from like way back in early access? I'd be like, yes. Well, they're now coming over to here because this and this. And I'm like, right. By the end, I hardly needed to be given any context at all. In fact, sometimes I was the one giving the context. But the teacher becomes the student. The student becomes the teacher. Sorry, the student becomes the teacher. But this was rare. Anyway, to answer you, I had to be given a lot of context, and that's how it worked basically.
Yeah.
And most of the stuff would be sectioned into scenes. I don't think the chronology mattered so much. I mean, it did for certain things, but if I was given context, it's fine. I'm a professional. It's fine. I could handle it.
You indeed are. And the final fan question, if you call it a question, how did you handle being the GOAT, the greatest of all time?
Well, I don't even know what to say to that. I'm very humbled and very flattered, and just well, I mean, I always knew Lae'zel would be the GOAT. Let's put it that way. Oh, boom! Answered in true Lae'zel style.
That's from Irwa.
Yeah, no.
Good one. Is there anything you wanted to say to the fans as we wrap up here?
Give Lae'zel a chance. I mean, if you're a fan, you're already giving her a chance. Just let her story play out. Surrender to her green charms. Indulge her whims. Do as she says, and enjoy it. That's all I can say.
Beautiful. And also, I wanted to say you're actually quite good at stand-up. I saw a video of you doing a bit of stand-up. Everyone watching, type in stand-up Devora Wilde. Take a look. Brilliant little set.
Yeah.
Is that nerve-wracking? Because I'd be.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I literally shit my pants. I didn't literally, but metaphorically speaking, I did. It was so nerve-wracking. My God, it was so nerve-wracking.
Was that your first time, that video, or had you done it before?
No, that was the culmination of like a 10-week course that I did at the Soho Theatre in London, because last summer I was like, maybe I should do stand-up. Like, why not? Because that's clearly the kind of person I am. And I started to regret it instantly because it was so terrifying. It was so terrifying. And but also so rewarding. Like when you hear people laugh, it's like, God, I'm funny. It's like, oh yeah. But then you also have the flip side where a joke that you have been laughing at to yourself for the last, week that you've been practicing
doesn't land.
There's just crickets. There's crickets. And then you're you'll do something random, like even like a random noise or something, and people will just find it hysterical. Honestly, there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but I loved it. I had such a good time, and it was really, I would call it character building. It was very character building because it was
Well, it builds confidence, surely.
yeah, but it's also a very sort of male dominated world, the stand-up world, and that's quite intimidating to go into that yeah, but definitely character. Was it confidence building? I don't know. Oh, I don't know. But but it was.
Would you do it again?
Well, I after that video, after that course, I was like, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to be a gigging up. That's what I'm going to do. Because I was getting so frustrated with the acting. Like, it never goes your way. And like, it's so hard to like get jobs and roles.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm stand up. That's what, you know, and people have always told me I'm funny. And I was like, this is it. It's going to be easy peasy. I'm apparently naturally funny. Yeah. It turns out that your friends think you're naturally funny. Yeah. Not random people who don't know you. That's why
did
people
you
think
bomb?
you're funny, because they know you.
Did you bomb?
Oh yeah, I did this one stand-up gig, which was at my favorite comedy club in London where I live, and it's called the Blackout. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to get through your set without being like blacked out by the lights, and it's brutal, right? Because only 3 people. It's a big audience, but only 3 people have the blackout cards, and people were sort of not doing very well. But I was confident in my set. Okay, it's that set that you watched. I was confident. It got a lot of laughs in that. People were like even applauding a little bit. I was like, come on, I'm gonna do it. I get up there and I can hear people's reactions. I'm like, okay, this is not going too badly. And then I see one of the cards go up, and then all 3 went up. And I was like,
yeah.
And honestly, that kind of made me very sad because I thought I was doing very well. But
yeah,
I thought it was rigged. It's probably just rigged.
Yeah. They've been paid off. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it was that was difficult. That was difficult to handle, and then I did a few gigs, and I just thought, God, this is so there is so much rejection in this world, very similar to the acting world, and I was just like, I don't think I can handle a double dose of rejection in my life. I can't. Yeah, because it's a lot, and also you have to go to gigs, and you have to do that, and you have to build it up from the ground up. Kind of with same with acting, and I just honestly couldn't be bothered to do that. I just, again, like the fashion journalism, full circle. I guess I realized I didn't love it enough. I'd rather be naturally. Oh, okay, that's just my husband going to the other room. I'd rather be like naturally funny in a role, or do it that way rather than having to sort of, yeah. I loved coming up with the material. I think it's very unique in that sense that you can really you can make fun of your life, which I always love.
Yeah,
I think it's hysterical, but it's brutal. It's a brutal world. Very brutal. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Dev, for taking the time today. We really appreciate it. I've had a ball. It's
Thank you.
flown by. So you've got Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. That's where we can find you. Are you doing any cameo or signings or anything like that?
I am on Cameo. I reckon it. Yeah, if you just search for me, you'll find me, or it's in my link tree, which is linked in my Twitter and in my Instagram and in my TikTok as well.
Are you doing a Streamily?
I am doing a Streamily, but I don't know when it is. At some point, I will be doing a Streamily. Yep. We'll also be at Insomnia. Myself and Neil will be at Insomnia, which is because I've never been to a gaming festival, so I'm very excited about that. We'll be at Comic-Con as well, and probably lots of other things to come. So come say hi. I'm not mean in real life. I promise.
You should have seen her off air, guys. She was
she was making demands left, right, and center.
Before I let you go, is there anything Lae'zel could say to Dan?
Anything Lae'zel could say to Dan? What, like words of advice?
Anything you want. It can be, anything you can remember, any quote.
Well, the only thing I would say to you, Dan Allen, is that you are and always will be an ishtik.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But please don't personally.
Thank you, Dev. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a
Well,
great day,
thank you.
and
Thank you
I
very
will talk to
much,
you
Dan.
soon.